As Alma left Nicholson Corporation, she was in a terrible mood. A person of her status has never had anyone question her decisions. But today, she was publicly challenged and even lost one of her loyal aides. There was no doubt that she'd be in a foul mood. However, they are currently in Balerno. If she wanted to get revenge, she'd have to arrange for her trusted confidants to come over from Glenstead. Grandmother, Dahlia was personally appointed by grandfather to be chairman of the company. Will it put you in a predicament when grandfather comes around to find that you've dismissed her from her position without consulting him about it? Julian asked hesitantly. Although Alma's actions had pleased him greatly, he was certain that such overbearing actions would be frowned upon. What do I have to fear when we don't even know if he's ever going to come around? Alma said nonchalantly. Isn't grandfather just suffering from some of his old ailments? He should be all right after resting up for a bit, shouldn't he? Julian was curious about what Alma meant by that. It isn't an old ailment. I poisoned him. He most likely won't ever be coming around anymore, Alma said coldly. What? Julian felt like he'd been struck by lightning as he stared at Alma in bewilderment. "Gr grandmother, you're joking, are you?" Julian said in a trembling voice, his eyes grew wide as saucers. "Do I look like I'm joking to you?" Alma looked at him frostily, her gaze just as cold to match. But why? Why would you do that?" Julian seemed to lose his cool as a cold sweat broke out. It was a major crime to harm the family head. There were unthinkable consequences if anyone found out. Most importantly, his grandparents had been married for half a century. Though they did not publicly show their affection for one another, they had been through thick and thin for 50 years. Julian could not comprehend why his grandmother would want to poison his grandfather. Was there some sort of deep grudge between them? Your grandfather had not been in the right mind when he thought of appointing Dahlia as the next head of the clan. He had intended to announce his decision to the whole family today. I advised him against it, hoping he would change his mind. But the old geezer was so stubborn and insisted on doing so. I was left with no choice. I could not let him do that, so I poisoned him last night. He'll spend the remainder of his life on the bed, Alma said calmly, as though it were the most reasonable thing to do. But even so, why you shouldn't have harmed him? Julian gulped dryly. Who do you think I'm doing this for? I'm doing this for you. Alma huffed. You're my grandson and the first legitimately born grandson of the Nicholson family. No matter what, you are the rightful heir of the family. But look at what that old man did. Not only did he not put you in a position of importance, he even insists on appointing an illegitimately born brat as the next family head. I consider myself merciful for not taking his life. Julian fell silent at that. His thoughts were a mess. No matter how he saw it, he was indeed the one who should have been the next head of the family. He genuinely refused to accept Dahlia as the next head. All right now, stop overthinking things. When the time is right, I'll support you so that you become the next head of the family. Whoever stands in your way must die, Alma said decisively. Thank you for your support, grandmother. Julian quickly came to terms with what Alma said. Since his grandfather no longer seemed to be thinking straight, he might as well just stay in bed. In the future, he would be the one in control of the Nicholson family. Grandmother, I'm just curious about one thing. Since Dahlia is the threat, why didn't you take action on her instead? Julian suddenly quipped. Even if I kill Dahlia, there's always going to be a second one. The Nicholson family has a lot of descendants, and they are all threats to you. To solve the issue once and for all, we have to address the problem at its root. I see. But why did you get Hank to murder James, then? Isn't that unnecessary? Julian wondered why his grandmother would waste such effort to have James dead. James was an unimportant side character, and it was a waste of resources to even deal with him. James? I don't even know who that is. Why would I want to kill him? I suppose Hank decided to take things into his own hands and just get rid of him. Anyway, that's not important. It doesn't affect us in the least what happened to him. Alma waved her hand dismissively. As she spoke, she suddenly shuddered, and her breathing became erratic. A piercing pain hit her and spread out across her entire body. Are you all right, grandmother? Julian immediately noticed that Alma didn't look good. It's nothing new. Go and get me my medicine from the car. Hurry, Alma instructed. Yes, grandmother. Julian dared not hesitate even for a moment and quickly ran over to the Rolls-Royce parked in front of them before he started rummaging around. In no time, he came back with a purple bottle. Grandmother, your medicine. Alma quickly opened the bottle and poured out its contents, only to find it empty. Where's the medicine? Have I run out of them so soon? She frowned as the pain in her body increased in intensity, and she began shivering uncontrollably. Quick! Go, search Hank's body. My medicine is with him. Hurry! Alma reacted quickly. She did a mental calculation and recalled that it was scheduled for today. The Kirrins should have provided her with the medicine previously. Hank had always been in charge of retrieving the medicine from them and then secretly sending it over to Glenstead and into her hands. Usually, the transaction should have already been completed by this time. Hang on, grandmother. Julian immediately left with 2 men and hurried over to where Hank had fallen to his death. A short while later, he came running back, drenched in sweat. Grandmother, I've searched him thoroughly. The medicine is not with Hank. He doesn't have it. Could it be possible that he hasn't gotten it yet? Alma frowned and hastily urged Julian, call the Kirrin's butler right away. Have him send the medicine over. By then, Alma was already having difficulties standing up and had broken out in a sweat. Yes, grandmother. Julian fished out his phone and made a call. But nobody answered. He made multiple calls, but they were all left unanswered. Grandmother, I can't seem to reach the Kirrin's butler. Julian was at his wits' end. That useless piece of trash. He's never there when you need him. Alma gritted her teeth as the pain got unbearable. Call Mr. Kirrin immediately. Ask him what all this is about. Without a moment to waste, Julian made another call. He managed to get hold of Mr. Kirrin and asked him a series of questions to clarify the situation. His face fell. Grandmother, Mr. Kirrin said that the medicine had been passed to their butler, and the transaction was completed not too long ago. Julian looked perplexed. If the transaction has been made, then where's my medicine? Alma was panicking. Mr. Kirrin said that someone showed up to disrupt the transaction. The medicine has likely been intercepted. Who? Who dares take my medicine? Alma roared, furious. They do not know yet. But they are looking into it now. Julian shook his head. Hurry. Go. Find out who it is. I don't give a damn how many men you dispatch or what price you have to pay. Get me my medicine. Alma roared. Yes. All their men dispersed without a moment's hesitation. Please calm down, grandmother. I'll help you to the car. Julian helped his grandmother over to the car for a rest. But before they could get far, Alma's legs gave out, and she fell weakly to the ground. Her body convulsed, and she foamed at the mouth as her condition worsened.